Every webcomic artist should join a collab at some point. Did I stutter? Now that I've had a few webcomic collabs under my belt, I want to share what I've learned so far with you guys, and also offer advice if you're planning on leading your own collab or joining one in the future. Here's some reasons to participate in a collab. And most of these seem obvious, but a lot can be said about viewing things in hindsight. Half of these I'm literally like, oh, duh, that makes sense now. Reasons to participate in a collab. You get to meet more comic artists and find solidarity. You get to find new comics to read and enjoy alongside with your readers. You also get to share a part of your audience with other comics. And in turn, you can help other comic creators grow their audience as well. It really is the gift that keeps giving. Even as your comic grows, collabs usually stay active as an episode in your webcomic, so more people will find and view it over time, and that goes for everyone in that collab. So even if one comic in the collab has viral growth, all other comics in the collab will have more engagement over time, especially if the other comics have similar especially if the other comics have similar themes and pique the interest of the readers of the one that went viral. And by viral, I don't mean insane numbers, like it can literally just be double the growth of what your comic is normally seeing right now. So there's some reasons to jump on it this coming year. Now here's how you can join a collab or lead one of your own. If I'm leading one of my own, here's some tips I'd like to offer. Decide your theme and assets ahead of time. So this is going to be a silly hypothetical example, but say I wanted to lead a collab of my own. Maybe I'd decide to do something like Cool Labs Collab, and I'd want it to look like one of those Hot Daddy Firefighter calendars or something. The theme would be shirtless guys, and maybe they would be holding cute animals or something. So boom, theme is decided. The assets would be calendar type graphics and cute animals. Decide if you will provide background art for the artist joining the collab or if you want them to do it themselves. I would make less work for yourself if you're the one putting it together by having the artists participating in your collab make their own backgrounds. Next, you'll want to figure out which platforms you will want this collab to go on and read up on the page dimensions and layout requirements for those platforms. For example, you would want to have the right requirements for like a webtoon canvas versus Tapas versus Global Comics or wherever you want to hold your collab at. Next, you'll want to think about how you're going to coordinate everyone. Discord is a good option, either as one big group message or just using your own server if you already have one. And also think, how are you going to recruit people to your collab? Are you going to ask each artist you know individually or leave it as an open application? Personally, I think if it's your first collab, it would probably be better to ask people around you first instead of trying to make it an open thing. But that might also just wow. That might also just be me being an introvert and being like, well, I only want to talk to the people I already know. Don't ask me to be an extrovert, please, dear God. Anyway, once you've started to think about these things, it's time to draft up a little information packet to be able to give to the people you want participating in the collab. It should include the stuff that I previously mentioned, but I'm just going to recap it real quick. A theme with maybe an example of the art you want to go for, or if you don't already have stuff at the ready, a Pinterest board works great too. So again, for my hypothetical Cool Labs Collab example, it would be probably a Pinterest board of shirtless guys holding cute animals. And maybe I would link that Pinterest board in the document to share with the other collaborators. In the info packet, I would set the expectation of whether or not the artists joining the collab will make their own backgrounds. I would also tell them the art resolution and dimension requirements for the collab and what file type it should be. And what file type. I would express what kind of file I would like the artwork to be in to be able to put it all together, whether that's a JPEG or a PNG file, that kind of stuff. So, or maybe if everybody in the collab is working on Clip Studio Paint, then maybe it'd be a Clip Studio Paint file. So, but either way, let your collaborators know what type of file you would expect for the final turn-in to be in. All right, next you would want to set the expectation of what webcomic platforms you are expecting the participating artists to post to. So if you're just sticking to one, just say so. If you're going to go multiple platforms, list out what platforms you expect them to post the collaboration to once it's finished. Make sure you put a limit on the number of artists participating. 8 to 12 seems to be fairly reasonable for most of the collabs that I've seen. Next, you'll want to put the deadline for submitting art to the collab. So, i.e., that'll be the date that you expect to have all the artwork from the artist done and ready for you to have the time to be able to put the final thing together. So, at least try and give yourself maybe 2 weeks before the date that you actually want the collaboration to officially be posted. That way you have some wiggle room, and obviously if you have more obligations outside of just making your webcomic, then give yourself extra time to be able to be flexible with that. Also, in your info packet, you'll want to tell your artist collaborator friends where they can submit their artwork for the collab, either like submitting it to you through a Google Drive, in the Discord server, or through email, etc. And then you'll also want to explicitly say when the actual post date for the collab is going to be and what your expectations are for the people participating in it. So, i.e., if you want a specific date and time, make sure it's outlined in your info packet so the artists know when you're going to be posting. Or if it's a bit more flexible and you have like a window of a week, then make sure that you also expressly say that in your info packet. And then finally, you'll want to make sure that you have the comic titles and the names of the artists that are participating in the collab. That's a lot of info packet stuff to include, but at least that covers most of the bases. You'll always get questions regardless of how thorough it seems, though. Some other things that you might want to consider when gathering people for a successful collab. You'll want to consider having similar art, story themes, audiences, or artist friends who are most likely able to commit to a collab, and all of those will help lead to a successful one. When you have similar audiences or similar themes in your comic to those you're collaborating with, you're most likely to have those people read all the comics in your collab because naturally your audience is already likely to be interested in these other comics. Like maybe you have a character type that your readers really enjoy, so suggesting other comics that also have a comparable character might increase the likelihood of your readers checking out the other comics in the collab, and vice versa. You'll also want to consider using your art piece from the collab as the thumbnail instead of a collab title card. As much as you personally care about the collab, your audience might not and just glaze it over as, oh, this is not a new episode, it's just a collab. But if you put a teaser thumbnail with your art from the collab, they're more likely to tap on it and go find your piece, and then also probably stumble on a new comic or two to read. So boom. You'll also want to consider putting a small call to action or a question at the end of the collab. This can be asking your readers if they've read any of the other comics on the list, and if they have a favorite character from it. It can be a whole bunch of different things. Maybe it could be a question about the theme of the collaboration. So, like in my case, my hypothetical Cool Abs collab could be like, oh, who had the coolest abs or something, and then you could go from there. So, but anyways, my point for that is the conversations in your comment section might inspire other readers to check out the other comics if they were already on the fence about it, because after all, hype is very contagious. So, where can you find collabs to join? For me, I was lucky to have a friend who was already making her own collab, and she had asked me to join, which I was very lucky. But you can also find people coordinating collabs on Discord, in the Webtoon Canvas, and the Tapas community servers. You can also check social media like Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, Reddit, and even Facebook groups. But if you're looking for people to join a collab that you're leading and you're feeling stumped, start with asking your own comics readers what other webcomics they enjoy and see if you can reach out to those creators, which I know can be a big ask for a lot of people, especially artists who are all introverts. Like, I already get a little anxious thinking about potentially going to ask a whole bunch of people to join a collab. So totally hear you guys on that. But if you can push past that little bit of fear and maybe talk to other artists in your communities, then you might find that a lot of people really want to do a collab and they just need somebody to band around to make that thing happen. So, which is exactly what Sadie did for the collabs that I joined. So actually all 3 collabs that I joined were hosted by her. So pretty cool. Leading a collab yourself also opens the door for other artists to invite you to another collaboration in the future. So keep that in mind as well. Sometimes you have to make a place to play before others will invite you to their own playground. And sometimes that playground has abs. Bye!